Bonjour, bienvenue au French Tech Podcast. Hi, welcome to the French Tech Podcast here at the Big Data World Expo in Singapore. I'm very happy to welcome Lionel from OVHCloud
Thanks.
here to the
Thank you.
show. Could I ask you to quickly introduce yourself and your company because you've rebranded, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Lionel Legros. I'm the Asia Pacific Director for OVH. So OVH is a hyperscale and cloud provider. So it's a French company for sure. We spent a few years ago in Asia Pacific. And today, so we decided to rebrand OVH to OVHcloud because we moved from the web hosting industry to the cloud market. So during the OVH summit right now in Paris, we are announcing the rebranding of OVH to OVHcloud.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit more about the reasons of that rebranding?
Yeah, definitely. So the idea is really to focus and have a better understanding, specifically for the new market about OVH. OVH is a French brand. We have a lot of different product and solution in Europe. The web hosting, the telco, and the cloud.
Right.
And the idea is really to have a strong DNA, to have a strong positioning on the cloud market. It's a fast-growing market, and it's definitely right now 80% of the business for OVH is on the cloud market.
Right. Yeah.
And we really through this rebranding, the idea is really to position to have the best positioning for OVH.
Because you offer a whole host of different cloud solutions, correct?
Yeah. So we offer three kind of cloud. So we are infrastructures cloud provider.
Right.
So one of the strengths for VH is the bare metal servers, and we offer also the private cloud and the public cloud solution.
So what are the main differences between infrastructure, private,
and the public cloud? So the main difference is that on the dedicated servers, so it's just like in-house servers, hosted in OVH. So you need to manage your servers, but you have the full control. You can deploy on top your infrastructures. So we provide what we call the hosted private cloud. So it's a fully isolated, physically for our customers. You have all the advantage of the public cloud, means the scalability.
Okay,
I mean, you can grow as you want. You pay on a consumption model, but physically isolated for our customers. And after we have what we call the public cloud. So the public cloud is if you need to just consume a bit of storage and instances,
right?
And you need an ecosystem interconnected just to grow.
So that's very interesting. So that means that you're able to accompany companies and people as they scale up in need, right? As their company develops.
Exactly. So depending also of the kind of use case that you will have, sometimes you will need, for example, just the bare metal if you need some IT resources for specific use cases, and you need more flexibility for just, for example, your website. So it depends of the kind of needs. So we have three kind of product and solution to assist you.
Now, I and many other entrepreneurs, I presume, know you because in Europe, where I had a company back at the time, you were very price competitive.
The idea is to provide the same price, try to bring the same price in Asia that we did for the European market a couple of years ago.
Oh, interesting.
So right now, just on the dedicated servers, you will have exactly the same price based in France or based in Singapore.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah.
So it's really, we try to be disruptive on the Asian and Australian market.
So could you speak a little bit to the differences, if any, from your perspective, between the European market, where you grew your company, to here in the APAC region, where you're now growing?
Yeah. So first, let's talk about infrastructure. So on infrastructures, it's a huge challenge because you know that it's pretty easy just to have infrastructures in Europe between all the different countries. In Asia Pacific, when you need to interconnect all the countries together, it's really a challenge in terms of latency, in terms of availability. So it's one of the challenge. The second is in terms of consumption model. It's not the maturity is different for each country. You will have some country like Indonesia, they are cloud native, so they decide to build directly on the public cloud, as they don't have any legacy infrastructures, for example.
Yeah.
And you have some country like Singapore having like huge data centers, huge legacy, banking, for example, and they want to move step by step to the cloud. So the maturity between all the country in Southeast Asia is totally different. If you include Australia is like one of the cloud native market. Also, it's probably the second largest after the US market. It's also another challenge.
That's interesting, right? That ability of some of these countries to leapfrog legacy technology and to be ahead in certain areas, such as cloud. When you say that Indonesia is cloud native, that's not something that would naturally occur to people.
Exactly. In Indonesia, they start to use, internet through the smartphone. So they develop directly application on the smartphone with a lot of flexibility. That's why they decide to build directly this application on the public cloud. When you're on some country where you have legacy, like for example Singapore, you will have more hosted private cloud solution.
And more difficulty to grow in certain segments, at least.
Yeah, you need to have like also references in specific markets, in specific area. So it's in terms of maturity, very different. Yeah.
So giant boom in data, giant boom in cloud usage here in the area. If you had to choose one, which is the opportunity that you're most excited about here in the APAC region?
So we have a lot of different challenges. So we are focused on Southeast Asia, we are focused in Australia. We have a huge team also in India, and we are planning to open infrastructures in India later in the year. So it's very interesting market as well for OVH. Right now we are fast growing in Vietnam, for example. It's a very huge market for OVH in Southeast Asia. So just to explain a bit more, when we arrived 3 years ago, the first idea was mainly to assist and work with the international customers to have like a point of presence and infrastructures in Southeast Asia. And very quickly we start to target the local market, so mainly in Vietnam and Indonesia. And it's right now, that's why right now we are opening also a new office in Singapore to cover, so sales and marketing office to cover the Southeast Asian market.
That's very interesting, and to see all of these variations and differences in the opportunities in the region, right?
Yeah, definitely. So also we need for that to launch a new product and new solution. So on the last 2 years, we was only focused, for example, on the high-end solution because we was assisting and working mainly with international customers, in Singapore. Right now, we are targeting, the local customers, as explained in Thailand and Indonesia. So we need also to launch, smallest range of products. So over the next few months, we'll have a lot of new product coming in Singapore, on the Singaporean data centers, on the VPS, on the web hosting for the SMB market in Southeast Asia.
And that's definitely a very big market here in the region, and that adaptation to local markets throughout the geographical area that is ASEAN is most certainly challenging but very rewarding if you get it right.
Yeah, that's the goal, definitely.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us here today. It was really great to hear more about your rebranding and about how you're positioning yourself in the region. I trust you're having fun here at the conference.
Yeah, that's very interesting. To showcase and to discuss with all the local ecosystem. That's perfect. And thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.